I look in the rear mirror. Yeah, this guy want to race. I'm a downshift, so I go to downshift, and all you hear is "Vroom." And I look at my rear mirror, and there's a puff of smoke coming out.
Okay, guys, it's Nau, and welcome back to the KodaCast. This is a podcast where we get to really connect with the global car community and document our journey with Kodawari Collective. So today we have a very special episode. We are currently in Calgary in Tony's garage, sitting right in front of his 240, which is on a rotisserie. And Tony's been a big part of our collective since the beginning. He's a big reason why I got into cars, and a big reason why we are called Kodawari Collective. So I'm here with Tony and Allan. You guys want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Tony Nguyen, Nau's cousin. Been together since birth. We're still together, just across the country.
Couple provinces over, right?
Yeah. What's up, y'all? It's Mr. Lanzo, aka Mr. Otaku from the Otaku Garage. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, in this episode, we're just gonna be talking a lot about our journey and our some memories we had growing up around cars. Some of the fun and stupid things we've done with cars. We will be munching on some bomb-ass beef jerky that Tony made for us. It's a special batch. It's called the roulette. So if at any moment you notice one of us get up or choke, it's probably because we hit the hot one, right? So yeah, let's start with, I guess, these cars, they bring a lot of joy into our lives. What are some fond memories, some fun moments that you can remember, Tony, of being in your cars, good or bad? We've had some a lot of good ones and a lot of pretty scary fun ones too. So why don't we start there?
Probably some of the best moments is just hitting 9,000 RPM every day on my Civic with the B16B motor. That was good. Just hitting that red line, hearing your exhaust go. I mean, thought it was hot shit, right? I was like 18 years old. But that was one of the moments. Yeah.
What was it about that motor that really kind of stuck out to you? Was it just the way it sounded? Was it the high revving aspect of it? What do you think it was that stood out to you?
Honestly, my first Civic was the EG Coupe. It had a D-Series motor. That was my first car ever, manual. And got me around, blah, blah, blah. But then my second car was a white EK Coupe. It was like a 97. Bought it from a dude with the B16B motor. $7,000 at the time.
Yeah.
And that was like a huge upgrade from D series to B series.
Yeah. How long ago did you buy that? What year was it?
Yo, I don't remember what year that was. I was like 18.
Okay.
18 or 19.
So like 2006, 2005?
I need a calculator to calculate that.
Okay, anyway. You had it for a while. Back in your prime years, I assume.
Yeah.
And was it a car that you knew you were going to get? Was it something that you just heard about through the grapevine? Or how did you get into cars, man? How did it all unravel for you?
Well, I got my license. I needed a car. And my buddy's older brother had an EG Coupe. And he was selling it for $2,500. Honda Civic. Don't know much about cars. But he said, check it out. Super clean. Not a scratch on it. Mm-hmm. So I bought it from him, and I guess being a Honda guy, like that was the first car introduced to me. I just stuck with Honda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So like having that V16 motor and kind of knowing what it could do, was that Was that like that? Did that excite you? Did it get your adrenaline going?
Oh yeah. Just speed, right? Speed gets the adrenaline flowing, and the music's bumping. You just go, man. You just drive around town, speeding, blah blah blah. Just like any other person, right?
What was the fondest memory you've had of that car with that motor?
That car. Oh man, so it was track day. We went to a Chinese restaurant to have breakfast.
Okay.
It was like me, Dewey, the Tires 23 crew. So on the way back, Billy was on my butt with the M3, and we're exiting off of the 403 onto Matheson. And still learning about racing line. But at the time, I was trying to be like, follow the rule and stuff. So I was staying within the line. So I took the wrong racing lines, and my back kicked out. I did a 180 on the off ramp, and smashed into a guardrail.
Oh.
So when I smashed into the guardrail, me and Dew was in the car jamming at a Tupac. Yeah, my stereo shot out when I smashed into a guardrail because it wasn't bolted down. Just shot out, and we just shook like, what the fuck?
Wow.
I was like, looked around, nobody's around, and we drove away.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And then Billy caught up after, and Billy's like, a cop rolled by moments after we left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that was your fondest memory of it.
Oh, that car? Oh, fondness. Well, that was one of the accidents. Fondest memory? Yo, the last time I hit redline on that car, so I moved to Alberta, came back to hang out with you guys, and we went to Mandarin, ate dinner with the boys, Tires 23, everything's good. And we're going up 410, and you were behind me in the RSX Type S.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, I was like, all right. Yo, I'm gonna drop down a gear so I can accelerate. And at the time, Nau owned the Civic now, right? He owned the Civic because he got it from Dewey.
Wait, was I in your car? Yeah, I was in Sherry's car. We were leaving Mandarin, and I was driving with Sherry.
Yeah.
But yeah, go on, and I'll continue on.
Yeah. So Allan's on my butt. I'm like, yo, let's go on. I look in the rear mirror. Yo, let's go on a race. I'm a downshift. So I go to downshift, and all you hear is, and I look at my rear mirror, and there's a puff of smoke coming out.
Yeah.
So I guess when I went to downshift from 5th gear to 4th gear, I actually went into 2nd gear on the highway.
Yeah.
And my RPM went past 9,000, over 9,000.
Yeah, it was done. It was
So
toast.
it blew the motor, and it was still kind of like semi-driving, right? Something was not right, though. And I took the first exit.
Yeah. I remember
And
seeing
as soon as I got to the exit at the hill, it died, and I made a right turn, and it just rolled down the hill, and we rolled right into our parking lot. And there's a trail of oil.
Yeah.
And I guess the B16B couldn't handle over 9,000 RPM. Yeah.
Yeah, that was at Clark Boulevard, right?
Yeah.
Right before Queen Street.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remembered that day vividly. To give you guys some context, Tony, I grew up with Tony. He's my bigger brother, and everyone knows that one person who is an adrenaline junkie. You're talking about always climbing stuff, always running around nonstop, just drifting on bikes, drifting on skateboards, scuffing his knee, just always going fast, right? So that's the Tony we know, and he even demonstrated that today when we were in Calgary. He was drifting the friggin' scooters, man.
You like that?
As soon as he could, he was like jumping off curbs, drifting the scooters. But yeah, so Tony's always been the guy who, as soon as he got behind the wheel of a car, it was like 0 to 100. It was never just kind of just like cruising. It was always like, all right, we gotta get the most out of this car's motor, performance, whatever it is. And he spoke about that white Civic with the B16B. That was the Civic Type R motor that he bought initially, and then it went over to my brother, And then when my brother went out west, then it was left to me. So I swapped that motor into a black SI coupe, a 99.
So man, $1,000 you pay for that.
It was $1,500.
Oh,
Yeah.
1,500 bucks.
$1,500. I bought it off some like Brazilian.
Yo, not
girl.
a spot of rust on that thing, man.
Yeah, it was clean. I remember driving to go see that car in your white Civic with no insurance, no, and I just learned how to drive stick too.
Yeah.
So I was like babying her all the way to like Black Creek. So, anyways, yeah, those two guys. Well, Tony was beat the shit out of that motor when he had it, just the way it should be, and then Dewey had it and he crashed it. And then when I got it, that's when I fell in love with Honda motors, because that motor didn't burn a drop oil, and it
Not
was just
even.
like it just revved to 9K all day. It was
Yeah.
it was the reason why I fell
sick.
fell in love with Hondas.
You know what the
But-
thing is?
Yeah.
Most people say all B series burn oil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I ran Motul oil in that and changed it every 4,000 to 5,000 kilometers religiously, because Billy was like our mentor when it came to cars and good products, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like I said, 6 months, 9,000 RPM every day. And I had to do a light rebuild with a gasket and stuff. And Billy's mechanic, Vincent, opened it up and he said this was the cleanest B motor ever.
Wow.
Yeah, and Vincent, he's a good mechanic. It's the same guy that works on NSX and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
And when Tony saw that and heard that, he was like, "Nah, that's it's too clean. I got to do something about this motor." But yeah, so you had moved to Calgary, and then you came back for 2 weeks, right? It was 2 weeks to visit family,
yeah.
and then you needed a car, so you asked me if you could borrow my car, and I remember being hesitant because I know who you are. I grew up with you.
You're hesitant?
Yeah, of course I was hesitant.
Oh my god.
And then I was like, because I told you, I was like, Tony, this car means a lot to me. Don't fucking do anything stupid. I told you that at the beginning of the 2 weeks. I literally said it to your face before I handed you the keys.
I don't think I heard that. I
you-
just zoomed in a key.
You heard it, but as soon as you started that car and you heard the engine rev up, you forgot everything. Well, anyways, I told you that. I remember telling you that. That's why I was so pissed when it happened, right? And then, yeah, fast forward to literally the last day of his stay. Literally the last day. We were having like a dinner, and then you were flying out the next day. I was like, man, we got through 2 weeks, nothing happened to the car. We're good. And the guys had left first, and Sherry and I were kind of like straggling a couple of minutes behind. And I definitely knew you guys were hooning on the way back to the house.
Yeah.
Right, because we were in a good mood and everyone was having fun. You know, you were leaving, so Allan was in his RSX, you were in my car, I was in Sherry's SI, and we were just cruising back to the house.
Yeah.
But that's when I got the call while I was driving back, and then you were like something along the lines of, "Fuck, I think I blew your motor." And I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? This is literally, you're flying out tomorrow morning, and you this." I'm like, "This, you're joking." And then we drove up, and the car was parked. You know, you limped it into that parking lot.
Yeah.
And,
You got there by momentum. Luckily.
that's that, man.
Holy
That's
shit.
that. So that was
Yeah, I remember vividly watching him take off, and I'm like, this motherfucker's gonna pop the motor. Sure enough, black cloud of smoke comes out the tailpipe. I'm like, this motherfucker popped the motor, yo. And he's like signaling. I'm like, yep, he fucking popped the motor, yo.
Sounds not right.
Oh
Sounds
my
not right.
god, it's too
Yeah.
funny. But man, that was a one for the books, yo.
I wonder what the motor costs now.
It's got to be up there
Yeah.
in price for
There's
sure.
like there's no B16B in Canada, North America.
If you could, would you relive it again? Would you get a B16?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I put that in the hatch.
yeah.
Yo, you see what I done with my D series in this hatchback?
Oh yeah, buddy. Your one-wheel drive,
1-wheel drive, baby.
doing on ramps at 80. Yeah, we saw.
yeah.
So, yeah. Now, did you have anything else you wanted to?
Yeah, that was that was a funny story.
Yeah, it's like it's almost too good to believe. It's like the last days here. All the possible things that could have happened. Of course, that happens, yo.
That was
last
like,
days here.
yes, 2 weeks, motor's still running.
So that kind of gives you an idea of Tony. He's kind of very, very shoot first, ask questions later, kind of impulsive, but, adrenaline junkie. That's what he is. That's what he does.
So that at that point, did you switch over, or when did you pick up your 240, your first 240?
Okay, so after that white Civic, after I crashed it, sold it to a brother, I bought another Civic. It was a silver EK hatch, same thing, same everything, but at a K series, skunk two coilovers, coil rad, all that shit, right? And that was my track car, well, street car, but we take it to the track. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I remember one night I got drunk, and then I went to bed. And the next day was track day, right? We were gonna go to Shannonville. I woke up and I came out, and my driveway is shared with my neighbor, so I parked first, and my mom parks behind me. I came out, empty spot, my mom's car. I walked down to the sidewalk. I look left, I look right. I'm like, fuck, car stolen. Knew it right away. So someone stole my EK Civic, and I have a clutch lock, right? It's like this mechanical bar that you lock to a clutch, so that way they can't step down on it. But I'm gonna assume they came in with some tools and an extra clutch, swap out that clutch, and then you can see the mark on the ground that they jacked the rear end up. They pivoted out onto my neighbor's side because there's no car parked there, and I guess they just rolled back and drove away with my K series. So anyways, after that, I'm like, fuck, I need another car. And I talked to Nick. You guys know Nick. He's like, yo, I know a guy, Trung. He's a 40-year-old mechanic that works at Toyota. He has a sick 240SX, right? It's a 93 240SX S13 hatchback, black. So we checked it out. And I was like, I went for a test ride, and this was my first time experiencing boost. I'm like, yo, there's more power than a Honda.
Well.
So I'm like, yo, how much? At the time, $7,000. This thing had an Origin Lab body kit, everything. It had stock suspensions, unfortunately. But this guy has like 275 tires in the rear, and he autocrossed with this thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's when I bought that 240.
What was her name?
Pardon?
What was her name? The cars.
I never gave their name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, just interesting. Yeah.
He beat in them too much. He wouldn't feel right naming them.
They're nameless to me. Yeah.
So, did you do any research into the 240 platform, the chassis, or did you kind of just went to go see the car? You drove it, you felt the boost, and you're like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah, I look at this car, test ride it, the boost. I'm like, yep, I'm buying it. That's it, man.
Did you ever have any like oh shit moments? In the
240? I had an oh shit 240 moment. Eddie was in the car, and we're leaving square one. And I just wanted to fucking kick that ass out, right? Mm-hmm. So I clutch kicked this thing, and it oversteered too much, and I tried to counter it, and it fucking crashed into the curb. Ooh. Took a chunk out of the wheel spoke. And then me and Eddie looked at each other. I put it in first gear and fucking drove away from the scene.
Oh, shit. You drove away still?
But everybody at square one saw it. Even a whole loaded bus saw it. Yeah, bro. Yeah, I don't know, man. Drifting is some next level shit. You gotta be rich for that shit and skilled.
It's a lot of trial and error, right?
Yeah.
You can only get better by crashing your car. I mean, no one's a prodigy like that. And if you are, holy shit, you're on some next level. But yeah, I guess like after having, that 240, a taste of that 240, is that when you really started to develop like, a passion for them?
Oh, for sure. You keep driving it. you just enjoy the moment, right? That thing had a big sub in it, so I was, I love music, right? Bumping music, you're giving her gas, the whole experience, right? They all add up, and you're just living the moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like any other vehicle, everyone has a moment with their vehicle.
Of course. Yeah. And like with the 240, what did you see in it that kind of resonated with you?
And everything, like that thing was clean, rear-wheel drive, turbo.
The engine layout, like the drivetrain, you like the front mounted engine with the rear wheel drive platform.
I mean, I still growing up, like still learning about car, but this is my first rear-wheel drive, first turbo car. But it was just sick, right? Like just every time you hit boost and it just put you in the back of the seat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So like with your mentality with the car, what did you want out of it? What were you thinking like in terms of modifying it? Because we all know that you're no stranger to modifying cars. You want more performance out of your cars, but what is it that actually caters to your style of driving that you want out of your car?
So at the time it had stock suspension, so it was like 4x4 status.
Mm-hmm.
So the first mod I did was I bought a set of HSD coilover from Varun, which has been my supplier since time.
Shout out to Varun.
Yeah. Wicked customer service. I'll text this guy at like 11 p.m. and he'll still reply to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "Yo, this is good. Is that bad?" And then he'll hook it up, right?
Run solid.
Yeah. So I got HSD coilover, lower the car, and then I put some Hanabi Falcon rims on it.
Falcon, right? Yeah, I remember them. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't see those very often, but yeah, I threw those wheels on, and lower the wheel. On that, like the car was done very nicely by the previous owner.
Right. Yeah. It's tastefully done, right? Yeah. I remember seeing it. It was a hell of a car, Tony.
Yeah, very clean.
So with what you got going on here, what are your hopes of achieving with this build here?
I just want to make a clean 240 that's not rusty, and be able to hit the track with it.
Yeah. So you do intend on tracking this vehicle, right?
Oh yeah, it's not a garage queen or a hardcore parker at the fucking Timmy's.
Yeah.
Just gonna obviously finish the product, make it look nice, but yeah, I'm still gonna beat it. I might blow a motor in it, right?
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
So like, you want to do more circuit type stuff with this build? Do you want to drift? What's on the plate, yo?
I'm gonna stick with what I know best, and that is circuit.
Yep.
Drifting, yeah, I'm sure I might figure it out, but it's so expensive every time you crash, and I crash quite a bit of cars. Right? Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Yo, so did Nate have any influence on you and the 240? Because we grew up with Nate as well, and he's always been into 240s, right?
Nate has actually a huge influence on me, especially with what I do now and how I am now. Growing up, didn't know shit all, right? Didn't know what I want to do in school. Had no interest in school. I like art class, that's about it. But when I had the K series and we had to pull the motor out because something was wrong with the tranny, and I asked Nate, "How did I do this?" He looked at me like, "Figure it out." And that got all the gears in my head turning, right? Like I didn't know shit. I just knew tires, right? Rims and tires. Worked at Billy's for like 4 years. But him telling me that and him being there as a mentor, I started going everything. He said, any bolts and nut that's connected to that motor, disconnected. Any harness, any wiring, disconnected. And I just follow that simple instruction. And with anything that you're not experienced with, everyone has a lack of confidence, right?
Yeah.
But as you start doing it more and more, you build that confidence. Oh yeah, it becomes like a routine, right? You got bolts and nuts, this and that, because that's what mechanic really is, right? Bolts and nuts. There's definitely more knowledge when it comes to like engine building and stuff, but with that K series, it was just disconnecting stuff. So yeah, I just disconnected everything, and Nate's doing his own thing. And I called him over and like, is this thing ready to pull out? He looked at it, he's like, all right, we can pull it out. And that's how everything started for me with mechanics, right?
Yeah, because you've always been a very hands-on person. You've always gravitated towards that. We started, working on these cars together. We started taking apart housing and painting it with paint cans, and you've come a long way since that, right? So when I look at your journey and where you started, working at Tires 23, eventually moving to a body shop, working there, learning about body work and that craft, paint, and then eventually moving on to welding, coming out west, getting your red seal, building that craft, building that skill set. I'm connecting all the dots, and it's kind of leading up to this project, this 240 project, right? So we just kind of skimmed over it briefly, but we'll definitely get into the details of where you're looking to go. But I think you're someone that definitely bleeds Kodawari, and that's a big reason why we have our name, right? So do you wanna share where you found this word and why it resonated with you so much?
So if anyone knows me, I'm a big foodie. I eat out a lot, and I watch a lot of videos on food, right? Documentaries to YouTube, blah blah blah. And I was watching a one video on a sushi chef who's been doing it for 20, 30 years, and he's like high end, right?
Jiro?
And pardon?
Was it Jiro?
Could be one of them. Is that the ball guy?
Yeah. Was it Jiro Dreams of Sushi?
I honestly can't tell you. That was many years ago.
Yeah.
But they mentioned the word Kodawari, and they did a light explanation on what that word means, right?
Yeah.
So I Googled it, did a little bit more research, and I was like, yo, that's kind of like what I do. Like the mindset of Kodawari, right? You're, rough way to say it is you're pretty much anal, right? You're trying to get the best result. And to be anal, like, that's how you do it correctly, right? You're always criticizing your own work in a way. So anyways, 2 weeks after that, I came down to your shop, checked out your shop, which is very nice. And you're still struggling to find a name. So I pitched that word out to you, Kodawari. Google it, what it means. Maybe they'll fit with the name that you've been looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my last day there, I wrote Kodawari on your whiteboard, word of the day, and just kind of left it there. Maybe you'll like it or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was I remember that. We were like 8 months into the renovations at the shop, and man, we were like brainstorming what to call the shop, what to call this journey of ours, and we I'm pretty sure we can dig into the archives, and there's a podcast of me and you and Chris talking about this, and we landed at like the shop. That's we landed at the shop. We landed at like keywords like community and a few other things. But I remember you reached out and you were coming to visit, and you said that you had a word that you were going to use for a car crew that you were going to start here in Calgary. And you're like, you know what? Let me come check out the shop, and if you're worthy, I'll give you the name.
Let me bless you.
So you came by, you saw what we were doing. You saw the quality and the attention to detail that we were putting into the renovation, and yeah, you blessed us. You're kind of just like, this is it, Kodawari. I heard it, I looked it up, and it really struck a chord with me, right? Because I was currently in a journey of self-improvement. For those who don't know, Kodawari means the relentless and uncompromising pursuit of growth, of improving your craft, of bettering yourself, right? So I think Japanese craftsmen, their culture and their society, they definitely that's definitely what they're known for. there's a reason why there's so much weight in made in Japan. That products coming out of Japan, right? Because everything they do it with pride. They look to improve it every single day, and to be present with that, to hold yourselves accountable, and having that mindset. That's what Kodawari really means, right? It's having a mindset of always looking to better yourself, always looking to improve things. And yeah, that was something that clicked. And up until that point, nothing clicked. We were like, we don't want to pick something just for the sake of picking it. And when I heard that, we were off to the races, right? So that's the story behind that. And you know, with Kodawari, with improving your craft, at what point in your journey did you kind of have that inkling that you had that mindset, and you kind of enjoyed getting better each day? Was it in high school? Was it working at the body shop? Was it at Tires 23? Where did you really start to develop that mindset, Tony?
The body shop was where, like, well, actually, you know what? Tires 23, I would say. I mean, I didn't know I had the Kodawari mindset.
Yeah.
But I was at the point where I was able to mount, run flat tires on $4,000 set of wheels without scratching it, right? That's the point where you're really paying attention to what you're doing. Run flat tire, obviously, very, very thick sidewall, right? Low profile, like a lot of BMW guys or whatnot are running low profile. And you got to mount it. And I got to the point where the boys at the shop trusted me with what I'm doing, right? Jackie training me all the time. It's just paying attention to every detail, right? Like, you do this, you do that, you execute it correctly. That's the way to do it. No scratch, no problem. But I didn't know how to Kodawari mindset. I was just doing it at that point. I think that's like the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But then it got to the point where I was working at Aaron Mills Acura Body Shop, and the boys there were hard, but they taught me the proper way, right? So like I said, people think a paint job's about laying down the nice paint, but it goes back to the body work and then the prepper, because the prepper is the one who prepared the surface for that color to lay down and show no flaws, right? Took me a while to get to that point, but I was so into prepping cars and making things look nice that I was having fun doing it. Like, to me, going to work, it wasn't really work. I just did it. I got paid. The pay wasn't that great, but I just did me, and I learned quick. And the boys kind of look at me, and I guess they were happy, right? Like, they didn't get no fucking bag of shit boy just laying down shit work. Like, they were able to lay down the base coat, and they got the result they wanted. And that's when I kind of got into thinking, yo, I'm hands-on. Like, this is what I am. I'm not a pencil pusher, right? Like, I'm not going to be a security guard. I'm going to be hands-on. I got hands for a reason, and these hands work well with how I think, and it just, I guess it just got better and better from there. And with that hands-on, when I moved to Alberta is when I started welding. Same thing, right? You're laying down nice welds, you're doing correct steps, right? Like, the one thing in welding is, like, when you're joining metal, especially critical stuff, you weld it out, you finalize it, you grind it down nice, and you get a guy come, he does an NDT, non-destructive testing, right? So he's actually running a device over my weld where I'm joining two metal, and he's doing an ultrasonic testing. So he's looking for, like, imperfection in these two metal that got joined. They could pick up things that are, like, the smallest, 1 millimeter of inclusion or whatnot. Mm-hmm. So stuff like that, when he picks that up, it will fail your weld.
Inclusions are those kind of like contaminants, or is that like kind of like cracks in the welds?
Contaminants.
Contaminants,
So
right?
like, you weld the slag, you gotta clean it, then you weld, or even lack of fusion will show up in the ultrasonic testing, right? So obviously fail a couple, but from there I learned a particular routine of how to do this, right? And that's why I came with the name Welding OCD, right? You're very OCD. You follow a very strict routine and procedure, and always have the same result, the same outcome. And from there, I was like passing UT testing all the time, right? Passing. And that's when I realized, like, you're doing the work, and you just do it right.
Yeah, I think that's something that we've come to understand the value of, even at Kodawari with our servicing, is having a process and having the discipline to stick to that process, regardless of having a shitty day, a shitty week, whatever it is, and finding consistency in that. It really does separate you from half-assed work. It really separates you from people who don't have that mindset and want to go for, I guess, greatness, right? So, you moved after the body shop. I guess, you were looking for better pay.
Yeah.
You were looking for a change of scenery. And did you instantly, was welding the first choice? Or did you have someone who was kind of, what drew you to this trade?
Honestly, when I moved to Alberta, I moved straight to Fort McMurray. It's a shithole. Right? But I was lucky that your brother went out there first for a year, and he went through some rough patch too, right? But he finally got shit figured out, and he had a place for me to stay, and I talked to him. I was like, all right, I'm coming out. Left my dream job at the body shop, came out, got a place there, and obviously rims and tire for 4 years, go to my resume. So I got a job at Fountain Tires for 2 weeks. I was working there for 2 weeks. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I just know I wanted to make money, right? And things kind of come together for a reason, by faith, I think. A lot of things come together by faith. This welder came in with his welding truck. He had a flat tire, and I just fixed his tire and did my work. So I parked his truck, and he was coming up his truck, and I came out. He's like, good job, man. I seen you hand bomb all those big truck tires. And I looked at him like, yo, I'm trying to get into oil and gas. Can you give me a job? He looked at me, he's like, yo, you scared of heights? I said, yo, I'm a fucking ninja. Right? I've been climbing since a little boy. I fell, I learned my mistake. I'm like, I ain't scared of no height. So he gives me his number. He's like, all right, I need to get all these safety tickets. Let me know when you're done. I'll bring you on site. So I did all that. I called him. He got me on the job right away, indentured me under his company name, and we just started working together.
What was this gentleman's name?
Steve.
Steve. Shout out to Steve.
Crazy motherfucking Ukrainian, right? Yo, he's a welder by trade, but he's also a self-claimed ironworker. So right off the bat, me and him were flying I-beams in minus 35 degrees. Joining I-beams together. Ironworking, right? That's ironworking. Tallest height we were at was, we maxed out the Genie, 127 feet in the air. Me and him connecting shit, bro.
Wow.
And I'm like a fucking green hand, right? Like, I didn't know shit, but I'm like, yo, if I die, I die. It's about making money. Luckily, we didn't have any incident, but there was some close calls, man. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Just seeing you go out there, and it's just, I think sometimes with myself, you try to plan for things and you try to be in the right mindset or the right financial position, and sometimes, a lot of times in life, you just gotta go for it. You just got to go for it. You just gotta just have faith, and I think that's what you did, and your hard work and everything kind of fell into place and set you up with this position with this mentor, right? Welding is a pretty, sounds pretty intimidating, right? Like what advice would you have for someone getting into something so new, whether it's welding, whether it's, anything that's unknown to them? Like how do you approach these kind of situations?
Honestly, like, if you're gonna get into something, make sure it's something you're gonna enjoy. Like, all my work since Tires 23 till now is not work for me. It's me doing something that I enjoy doing. I get paid. It's just happen to get paid, but like, you can't get in a job that you don't enjoy, right? Like, man, you don't want to wake up on a Monday. Fuck, it's Monday, right? Mm-hmm. I wake up on Monday. Let's go make some money, and get better at what we do. So you can try like a trade here. If you don't like it, get out of there. Find something that might fit what you can do for a long term, right?
Yeah, I think that's.
You open that, and there's a red switch. Turn it off.
Probably a fun piece to pull out.
Red switch.
Yeah, red circle.
Oh,
Yeah, in there.
Sorry about that. Should we reset the camera or?
No.
Okay.
just keep going.
All right. Back from the compressor and emission. Yeah, that's you talking about finding work, finding something in life that you can. It does to other people it seems like work, but to you it doesn't seem like work. If you could kind of thread that needle, I think that's where a lot of happiness comes from, and a lot of really like some real greatness comes from. Even with Allan, right? Even with myself, even with everyone at Kodawari, I think we, in the first year and a half, everyone's kind of been figuring it out. We've jumped from different roles from here and there. Allan started off in detailing, and he was really good at that. But now he's in a content creator role, and it's been really fucking dope to see him flourish in that role, because I think having him editing for us, creating content for us is, to me it seems like work. But Allan, what do you think? Do you talk a little bit about how?
I mean, like, I guess to give you an idea, like the days leading up to this trip, like all I was thinking about, it wasn't clothes, it wasn't like bars of soap, things I needed to, it was my gear. I was like, what gear do I need to bring? And can I get away with these many batteries? Can I get away with this? Can I bring my laptop? Buddy, it was just like, the moment I got put in that position, it was just 0 to like 100. And I'm just like trying to figure out how to get better. Like, what do I need to tell the story better, And with a bit of research, a bit of time invested, I kind of came to this formula. And, I won't dive into the specifics, but I want to say, like, with the opportunity to do the Otaku Garage and kind of market that in a way where, we could put that on the map and kind of be that spot for diecast. I learned a lot from that experience, but I also got more involved with video work and kind of trying to piece the story together more than just, cool synced music videos for diecast. I started playing around with like, doing like short vlogs with Jake there. And I was like, you know what? This is actually really cool. Like, I could see myself doing this. And I think I just got more interested in it over time. So I would research like how to do certain pans, or like what gear would help you achieve a certain look, what lens would help you portray a certain scene in a specific way, right? And I don't know, it doesn't seem like work when people, like, I was here and Tony was like, yo bro, chill with the camera, you're always working, man. I'm like, yo, this ain't work to me, man. I enjoy doing this. Like, I was going around sweating with the hoodie on and the gimbal, and yeah, it was exhausting, it was hot and uncomfortable, but that wasn't on my mind. What was on my mind was, I gotta get this shot. There's a sick, scenic, like, shot right here. I gotta grab it in the best way I can, right? And I just went along with it, man. To me, that's the embodiment of Kodawari. And I think that with my time doing this, it's only gonna grow from here. And I feel like I'm not even there yet. There's so much more that I want to learn, right? And I think that is something I see in Tony's actions too, like how he conducts himself when he's posed with like a problem. You know, he doesn't sit around and like give up on it. He just searches for how to solve the problem, and he's always been like that ever since I've worked with him at Tires. You know, he doesn't shy down from like things most people would. And yeah, I mean, Kodawari, that's you, and I appreciate you sharing that word and that name with us, because it resonates and it hits so hard. You know what I mean?
Thank you. Just remember this. If you see something that's been done before, a human being done it, you can do it too.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It doesn't matter. Some people look at stuff, they're like, how do you even do that? Well, go figure it out. You can do it too, man. Just gotta invest the time and the energy to do it.
If you're willing to put in the reps for something that kind of piques your curiosity and, you know, kind of keeps you up at night, if you're always constantly thinking about it, try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. At least you know, right? The attempt is what matters. If you're gonna try and do it, just try it. Don't think about it, just do it. Figure out the workflow. Figure out what it is that intimidates you about it, and then just attack it head on. Because the worst thing that can happen is you're just gonna be like, okay, this isn't for me, right? But I've tried it with this, and I think I've sat through like a 24-hour edit, like straight. Just trying to meet a deadline, and I wasn't thinking about, oh, this sucks, this is the worst. I was just like, fuck, I gotta get this deadline. I want to make sure like this is it, right? Like this is gonna be fuego. So I don't know. Even when I'm editing, I don't keep track of the time. It's not a thing about
Enjoying it.
I'm just enjoying it. Just trying to see what I can do with it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, thank you for the name, man. Sorry, now are you gonna?
Yeah, that's the sweet spot, man.
Yeah.
I think if you can find that groove where it doesn't seem like work to you, and you can get up each day and be like, there's an opportunity for me to grow and get better. That's I wish that for everyone, you know, and I'm looking for that myself. I think I found a part of that with the podcast. I think I really enjoy learning having these conversations with people, learning from people, building relationships. I think that's something that's always come natural to me, and I want to continue to grow it as Kodawari grows. So, you know, looking forward to helping everyone at Kodawari on our team find that spot. Looking forward to inspire people who listen to our content to find that for themselves.
Exactly.
Right. I think that would make the world a better place if people can find that kind of happiness and purpose in their life. Well, you know, you got your red seal as a welder. Now you have that skill around your tool belt, right? What's the next step, right? Like, when did you get this chassis, and when did you decide to go this far with this restoration build? When did you even want to do a restoration build from the beginning?
I knew I just wanted to make a better 240. Obviously, there's some rust, bone stock, non-turbo, right? The fucking truck motor, K24, KA24. But yeah, I worked towards getting enough money to buy the house for the garage. It was a double car garage. And I knew I need a spot to do work on a car, right? And I was like, why not? I would figure I'd put some auto body skills that I have into my bill. And it started off with just building the rotisserie, right? Put the car on and doing it. And the more I worked on it, and as the day passed by, I just started going crazy. Like with my bill, I wanted to do more and more. Okay, maybe I can do this. And there's stuff that like I didn't think I would need to do, but when you come across it, like, okay, I gotta Google how to do this. There's a lot of Googling, and I just kept going with the bill. Even like if I'm at work or having dinner, or before bedtime, I'm thinking about what can I do to make this car better. Like I built this car like, man, I don't know, 2,000 times in my head without actually building it, right? I'm building in the head. And it's always changing. It's always changing. And when I'm working on the car, I come to a problem, and I go back to Googling it, and I go back to like just thinking how to solve this problem so I can continue on with the next project. Okay, what was the question? Yeah, cut that shit out.
So, yeah, I think with a lot of car builds, that's how it starts off with a lot of us. You know, you open that can of worms, and one thing leads to another, one thing leads to another. But I think there's a lot of joy in taking something that's kind of rickety, something that's kind of beat down, and making it, you know, improving it in small areas here and there.
Definitely a can of worms. Like, when I started the restoration, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to restore this. But as I start wiring the car apart, removing the undercoating and all, I started finding rust. I'm like, fucking rust? This wasn't here before. I gotta figure out how to deal with it, how to treat it. I use a lot of Eastwood product, by the way. They have like product for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it helped me get the car to where it is now.
What are Eastwood products?
Eastwood is like they supply so many stuff, but a lot of their product lines that I use is for like car restorations.
Mm-hmm.
And is designed very well, and it does its purpose. And my goal is to make the car anti-rust, like can't rust, right? And to make sure any bare metal is coated with corrosion-resistant product.
Yeah, so with the weather that we go through, a lot of times, you know, our cars start to rust, and that's because there's bare metal exposed, right?
Yeah. So bare metal with a mix of moisture and oxygen, which promotes rusting. So I mean, usually you buy a car, it's you know, painted, whatnot, has a underbody coating, whatnot. But for rust to start, that needs to be removed. So things like driving over speed bumps and your frame rail is rubbing onto speed bump, which is gonna remove the paint. Also, driving, you're flinging rocks all the time, right? And over time, it's gonna chip paint and such onto the undercoating. And when that chips off, you're left with bare metal. So as soon as rust start, it's just gonna start eating away at the metal. It's literally cancer. So whether area that's coated in paint or not, it's gonna find its way where it keeps eating and eating and eating. If you don't stop that, it's just gonna keep growing. That's why they call it cancer, rust cancer, right? There's a reason why. So things you can do is to not remove the material, obviously, like not rub your underbody onto speed bump. Another thing that a lot of people do is rust proofing, right? Mm-hmm. You spray in that stuff, it's an oil base, and that will kind of seal any bare metal away from moisture and oxygen. So guys will do that yearly. Mm-hmm. It helps out a lot. Yeah.
So let's say you find like an older 240 and you know, you're not looking to go balls to the wall restoration like you're doing with the 240, and you see a little rust on the quarter panel. What should you how should you approach that problem?
It depends how far you want to tackle it. You want to tackle it 100%. You want to tackle just lightly. Any any rust, you literally have to cut it out, weld new metal on, and then you treat the metal and seal it away from oxygen and water. There's other options out there where you kind of like half-ass it, but it's not 100%, right? Because at the end of the day, you got to neutralize the rust. So Eastwood has a product where is an acid that you spray onto rust. So it actually converts the rust into not rust, and it leaves a coating on it. So once you do that, it stops it. But that's only if it's on surface,
Yeah.
right? If a rust is rusted through, you got a sheet metal where it's rusted through, you treat one side, you think it's good, but the back side is still rusted, that rust is going to keep continuing, right? It's cancer. Honestly, I find like with this car, I already cut any metal that's rusted out, and I weld new metal in and seal it away from moisture and oxygen.
What was the condition of this car when you got it?
When I bought it, it was pretty good. Rough exterior though, like the front end had like spray bomb and whatnot. But I drove it here and there, parked it during winter, but rust will find a way through. It's an old car, it's a 94, right? And back in the day, the technology is different. The way they build a car is different. They don't think about rust. Well, they probably did, but not to the extent to bulletproof it, right? But I had rust, both quarter panels at the bottom, which front and back rusted there. Driver's side frame rail was rusted. Inside the engine bay where the frame rail starts is actually like two long gaps where on the driver's side you actually have your brakes there, and when the oil from your brakes drip into that area, of course brake fluid will lift the paint. So I feel like that contribute to rust on the driver's side frame rail a lot too. And with this 240 is a hatchback with a sunroof. There's actually 4 rubber tubes that run from the sunroof down to the bottom of the chassis to drain out that water when it gets in there. But for some reason, these tubes were tucked up. It wasn't actually past the underbody. It was tucked up into the frame rail. So when water gets in, it's actually draining into your frame rail. I don't know if it got pushed in or that's the way it was designed. So that is something you got to look into. If you have a hatchback with a sunroof, you want to make sure those tube is draining past the floorboard, right? Otherwise, it's just going to drain your rocker panels and that'll rust out, which is very common also.
Yeah, because these cars, you know, the 240s, whenever you talk about 240s, you always hear like, damn, they're always, it's so hard to find a clean one. They're so rough around the edges. You know, that number is dwindling each and every single day because you have guys growing up, like these are fun cars. They're fun, inexpensive cars to drive and own and maintain. And they're rear drive, so you're always getting yourself into trouble, like kind of like you have, and that means that finding one in great shape is getting harder and harder. I know when we talked to Varun, he's like, I've probably taken out like 240s in my lifetime or so.
Yeah.
You know, like he's had his fun in them, and they're, you know, they're, even with the market value of these cars, as we make our transition into this new world of electrification and technology, these cars are very hard to come by. So keeping them in great shape, preserving them, is, I think, something that's going to be a lot more popular in the upcoming years.
Yeah.
But that's how your build started, right? It was, you know, okay, I'm gonna, you know, this car is got a decent foundation. It's a little rough around the edges. I'm gonna start touching it up. You open that can of worms. Walk us through that, you know, the story so far.
Yeah, so this restoration is a nightmare. The underbody here is pretty clean now, as you see. But man, I spent countless hours, like 60 hours plus, removing material. First of all, learning how to do it and not having the right tools, the right pad, the sanding pad. Originally, like the 240 has a thick layer of like a rubbery underbody coating. So I had to remove that with a wire wheel. I spent like 30 plus hours.
Wow.
And removing that is a shit job, right? You're doing it for like 8 hours a day, wire wheeling it, and it's gooey. It doesn't want to come off. And even after I remove that, there's still the base coat, the epoxy coating, still on there. Eventually, I came across a better pad, which is like an abrasive sanding pad. It looks like a sponge, but it's hard. And I hit up the car again with that, spent another like 15, 20 hours. And that was able to remove the rest of any remaining stuff on the underbody to bare metal. So that was very important. But that particular pad is a lot more expensive. Whereas with a stainless steel wire wheel, doesn't break down apart as quick. But it was able to allow me to remove that rubbery coating, right? Yeah, the underbody was the worst part of this whole job. It was not really fun at all. Sometime I just had to get drunk, man. Blast the tunes and just go to town on it. Right? So, yeah. Don't want to deal with it, but you got to deal with it, right?
But you're done it now, aren't you?
Yeah, so that nightmare is done with. So now I'm getting into the fun parts.
If you had the right tools and the right setup, what would that be to get that underbody?
Honestly, I wouldn't be able to tell you because it's my first time doing it.
Oh, okay.
It's a learning experience. I mean, if I did it for a living, where I've done countless amount of car, maybe I can have an average time what it takes to do it correctly.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
And in order to even get to the underbody, you had to build the rotisserie first, right?
Yeah.
So how was that? Like, was there a blueprint to make the rotisserie, or how did you go about building this rotisserie? Because this thing is badass.
So I did some Googling and I came across this guy's website, Red Steel Wings, I believe. And he's a welder by trade. And he supplied the blueprint PDF file. Download it and it literally told you what material you needed, at what size, at what length, what you got to do, how to piece it together, how to weld it, what welding profile, and then how to assemble it together. And this guy didn't want $1 for it. It's literally like free to the public, right?
Yeah.
So I went ahead. I went to a metal supermarket, and I literally gave them a list, cut me all this metal. But I still had to do all the drilling. These are like 3/4 inch holes. So I bought a drill press, drill all the holes, and you got to weld your nuts to it. And I built that.
Man, that's some serious drilling, because I know when I'm even just drilling through any metal, it's you got to know what you're doing, or else you can burn through the bits, right?
Yeah.
Like what are you supposed to do when you're drilling through metal that thick?
Okay, so I was using a lot of step drill bits,
Yeah.
and I went through a crap load of Mastercraft step drill bit. Right? They're on sale. I bought a lot. But thing is, when metal, they treat it accordingly, right? Like the metallurgy, they get heat treated accordingly to have a particular property. But when you're drilling, it warms up. It will soften the metal, and then when that sharp edge thaws out, it's not gonna drill. So I drill a bunch, and I was going through step drill bits like crazy. I'm like, man, what can I do to save these drill bits? You're supposed to use oil. You're supposed to use oil when you're drilling, right? It cools it down, adds a little lubrication, protects that sharp edge. So yeah, when you're drilling any hole, you want to use oil. And once I started using oil when I'm drilling holes, I noticed these bits were lasting way longer. They're not dulling out, and I was able to drill from no holes to 3/4 inch holes.
Wow.
I spent 2 days drilling holes, and my back hurts. Yeah, just bending over, doing the same routine on every piece of metal.
And then you kind of just started welding everything together after those were all drilled out, because that he I guess he explained and laid everything out.
Yeah. So once you drill all your holes, your metal's all at the right size. You literally just piece all the pieces together. Make sure your welds are solid. You don't want nothing cracking, because you have a car on a rotisserie, the metal cracks and it claps on you. You're done ski, right? Yeah.
That's crazy. Now, is this a rotisserie like a one-size-fits-all type of application, or is this like a custom made just for this chassis?
So this rotisserie has a lot of adjusting sizes, so you can fit a lot of vehicles on it. And the one thing that might be custom is how you're gonna mount it to the vehicle. With my car particularly, I was able to mount it to the rear, where the rear sub, what do you call it? The rear rebar is.
Yeah.
So I mounted there, and the front same thing.
Yeah.
Right. It goes into the frame, and so that's where you gotta get creative. How are you gonna mount it, and then you make your mount and you attach that to the rotisserie.
Yeah.
When did you know that this kind of rotisserie was an integral part of you restoring this car?
Well, I feel like restoring a car, you gotta flip it to make your job easier. Even though I was able to flip it sideways, it allowed me to get the angle is what do you call it? Better for your body, right?
Right.
You don't want to be bending over,
Ergonomic.
having ergonomics. You don't want to be in the wrong position, and you're doing this for like hours. You do things the hard way or the easy way. If it's easy way, you can get more things done. You're more productive, I would say. But I have seen guys who done 240 where they wire wheel the underbody like how I did on jack stand.
Wow.
And I'm like, you're a champ.
Yeah.
Because me doing with what I did with my rotisserie was hard. You doing it on jack stand, you're a champ, man. Your balls deep. You're committed.
Yeah, because this stuff is like, it's not only is it grinding off, but it's now grinding onto you if you're in that position.
This
like,
shit crumbles, rolling your eye, rolling in your mouth, rolling in your ear hole.
Yeah.
And so imagine laying down and you have a grinder and you're doing this for 8 hours. Your shoulders are blowing out.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, for sure.
Your neck is strained, bro. Yeah. Is the dirtiest work, I would say, from what I experienced so far.
Yeah. The reason I ask you that question is because it kind of sheds light onto your character as to what you're willing to do, how far you're willing to go to restore this car. It's not even a part of the car. It's to make your workflow better. And if that's not Kodawari, I don't know what is, yo. You know what I mean? So it's amazing that you're able to put this together just for this project. And it's inspiring, man. It really is. To see that amount of drive and determination to get a job done and done efficiently and the right way. Because who got time to be sitting under a car grinding shit off the underbody, man?
Yo, there's times where like, what the fuck am I doing? If I try to sell this thing as is, man, it's scrap metal. It's literally scrap metal.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody not much people want like a half-ass finished project, right? Right? Not everyone has the skill to do that, to complete it.
Right.
Right.
So if you finish the car, if and when you finish the car, what are you going to do with the rotisserie?
Man, I might just do another car.
Nice. Honestly.
Or
rent it out.
I could rent it out. I have a buddy who might be interested in it. He has a AE86.
Yeah.
Roll cage, sandblasted.
Ooh.
So, cool guy, really cool guy. His name was Jay. Yeah, I might help him with his bill.
Cool, man.
Yeah, he's a sick mechanic, man.
Does he work on only like Toyotas?
He works on everything. He used to work for this shop called Vex Performance.
Okay.
So he knows his shit. He's a really skilled mechanic.
Nice.
Yeah.
He's a local guy?
Yep.
Calgary?
Yep.
Nice.
From Calgary.
So I want to jump back into like this, the journey of where it's at. So the rotisserie was made, car goes on. You cut off all the rust. I guess you tackled all those areas first. Sanded everything down, did all the body work.
Yeah.
and then you jumped into gutting the interior
Oh, I got everything first.
from the beginning, from the
Yeah.
get-go.
Yeah.
So it was all the interior was out. Just I guess the dash was in there.
The dash came out too.
Dash came out too.
Everything. Anything that I can remove to access the metal that I need to paint.
Yeah.
Yeah, that had to go. That way I don't get paint on it. It's not in my way. I can reach everywhere.
So then the interior is completely gutted. Underbody you had to sand down and get it, down to bare metal. And then what did you lay on to the underbody once it was down to bare metal?
Okay, so after treating all the rust, you have to sand it so that way the material that you spray on will have something to grab onto mechanically, right? So the sanding creates a texture. Because if you don't sand it, you paint on it, it'll flake off, right? So sanding it all clean, wipe down every inch of that bare metal, so there's no oil, no contamination, so it's perfectly clean. Then I sprayed on epoxy primer, DTM, which is direct to metal. That is what's gonna seal the metal away from moisture and oxygen. Let that cure, and then from there I had to sand it all by hand again to the right sanding grit for my next material to lay down. But after sanding that down, you gotta seam seal everything, right? So that way no water gets in between two panels of metal. Seam seal that, let it cure. Well, I let it cure because I did not have time to hit it up right away, right? So once it dry, at the sand the seam sealer, and then mask it, and then spray Raptor bed liner. I took a chance and went with that. There's other sprays out there, but I wanted a white underbody, and Raptor bed liner offers a white color, and I spray that on. Yeah.
And is that the last coat that we see here?
Yeah, so that's the final coat.
Yeah.
It's pretty durable, and I've seen countless guys do the exterior of their off-road vehicles with it. So, and I talked to some guys on Instagram that has used that product for underbody, and after talking to them, I feel confident with spraying that onto my car.
What did you do to the interior?
The interior,
Yeah.
all the parts I took off.
Well, after you took off all the parts,
Yeah.
did you clean up? What did you clean up in the interior of the car, like the chassis?
Inside the chassis, I literally had to remove all the old seam sealer because that's the 94. That seam sealer lost its flexibility property, whatnot. So it's lifting here and there. It's some old technology. So all that got removed. And then all the paint, obviously you have to sand it, right? Because you got to create that sanding texture for your new material to bond to. So inside the interior, it's nothing straight, man. It's all curves and grooves. Yeah, majority of it was sand by hand, and I spent I don't know how many hours doing that. And every inch in that car was touched with my hands. Yeah.
So seam sealer, is it kind of like the glue that they use to hold parts together, like the frame together?
No, that is like a 3M 2-part. Well, there's other brands out there, but they use you heard of JB Well?
Yeah.
But they have that for auto body for joining panels together. Seam sealer is more like a silicone. It's like a silicone, you spread it, and that's gonna close up any joints, right?
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So water and shit doesn't get in there.
So once you sanded down the interior, then you just repainted everything?
Yeah, well, sand it down, clean it up, degrease it all over again, make sure there's no dust, right? You seam seal, let it cure for a certain time, then you lay down your epoxy primer or primer. Epoxy primer is required if it's bare metal. If there's no bare metal, you can spray primer, but I obviously epoxy the whole thing, and then I spray base coat and clear coat. Yeah.
And are you planning on covering up this paint job on the interior with your interior parts?
Yeah, so I'm gonna actually dyno mat the whole inside. so you don't get to see that. And then original OEM interior is going back in place.
And the purpose for the dynamat is for the sound system that you plan on putting in, or just sound deadening?
Just sound deadening.
Yeah.
There's YouTube video where there's I think what do you call those, cymbal? You know, when you hit it. And
Yeah.
So there's a video. They hit it, it makes a ring, right?
Yeah.
They threw some dynamite at it. They hit it. There's no ring.
Wow.
Simple as that. So your car without any sound deadening, it's like a tin can, right? It's a rattling can.
Yeah, there's vibrations everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, and then what did you do to the engine bay?
The engine bay dealt with some rust where the battery sat, rotten. Cut that out, and then I wanted wheel wells because it looks cool, and I can have some clearance. So did a lot of YouTubing. There's a 240 forum. Did a lot of reading, look at what people did, and then did what I need to do to make it look nice. So I welded some wheel well tubs.
So with all 240s, are there generally no wheel wells that cover the front tires?
There's wheel wells, but they're smaller. But the thing is, when you're running certain tire spec and wheels and you're lowering it, it's going to rub there. So guys tend to put wheel wells in there so they have clearance.
How aggressive are you thinking of going in terms of your fitment, your tire size, and all that?
I want to run some wide tires, like 165s in the front, hopefully, and then 195s in the rear. Yeah. But I'm not slamming it. I just want to close up the wheel gap.
Do you mean 265?
Yes, 265.
Okay, 265.
I said 165?
Yeah, like, yo, that's
Man, that's like some
Oh,
Honda Civic
this ain't
stance,
no
bro.
drag car, man.
Damn.
Yo, 265, sorry.
Okay. 265s in the front, and then 270 or 295?
295s in the rear.
Wow, she's gonna be
17 or
wide.
18s?
18s.
Because you're putting a wide, you weld it on flares.
Yeah, metal flares from Ulterior Motive.
Yeah.
Yeah, they make handmade flares, and they're very nicely done.
Mm-hmm. Was that the fender you showed me yesterday?
Yeah,
Or this
so
morning? Yeah.
those are
actually?
the fronts. Yeah.
Ah.
So those came out 1.5 inches, and then my rear quarter panel comes out 2 inch.
So staggered is key for you. You want to go staggered.
Yo, whatever makes the car grip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So, what kind of wheels are going on it?
Honestly, man, what I had, what were those, CR57 grams light?
Oh yeah, okay.
So I had those, but I sold it to build my gaming rig. Yo, I was getting tired of getting shot and caught, man.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Definitely.
You know what? I needed money. I'm like, these wheels aren't going on the car anytime soon,
Yeah.
right? So I sold it.
So it's kind of up in the air right now. It's like whatever you're feeling at the time when you're ready.
Yeah.
I guess, right?
When the time comes.
Cool.
Do you have like a dream set or a dream look that you want to go for?
I don't know. It's always changing.
Yeah.
I kind of been liking the brown wheels lately, the bronze.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Taking some key notes here from Nauza.
Can't go wrong with bronze, man.
Yeah.
So the engine bay got treated. What stage are you at right now?
Okay, so engine base got treated, underbody got treated, the interior metal got treated. The only thing left is the exterior. I'm taking a break from the exterior. So right now I'm currently working in the rear suspension. So I welded on GK Tech braces for the subframe, and I sent that out for powder coating. It's been 2 weeks. They're not done yet for some reason. But I'm subbling the rear subframe with all SPL arms. What do you call it? Like mono aluminum bushings, so no rubber bushings. Yeah.
So no nonsense, eh?
Yeah.
Straight to business.
Straight business.
Yo,
So
no
it's gonna be
play.
like no flex.
Play, yo.
It's all stiff, just no give, eh?
Except for my subframe bushing, I use white line subframe bushing.
Okay.
Just so it's not too hard, right?
Yeah.
Little softness there, but all the arms and stuff is all metal.
Do you think it'll be able to withstand these Calgary roads when all is said and done?
Yo, if it doesn't, we'll see the results, right? We'll see shit blowing up.
Fair enough, man. Guess trial and error.
Yeah.
So suspension's gonna go on next. And then you're gonna finish the exterior,
Yeah.
and then I'm guessing motor
Yeah, motor.
and drivetrain.
Yeah.
What's the plan?
Originally I wanted 2JZ for the longest time from when I started the restoration. But the motor from those guys who sell used motors is like $8,200 now.
Yeah.
It went up like crazy. So I think I'll go with SR is a little cheaper, but with SR I benefit better handling than the 2JZ.
Yeah.
Because I mean it's a track car, right? So I want a well balanced car.
Yeah.
And with the SR20, I can have one, get the car running quicker. I can enjoy the car. And
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna get another SR and build that one.
The SR20s, have they gone up a lot in price, or are they kind of just what's the market been like for those kind of motors?
They went up a bit, but not too much. I think they're around $4,000 ish.
Mm-hmm.
They did go up a little bit, but I mean, this is a 2 liter. Definitely didn't go up like how Supras went up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, those two JZs they're iconic, right?
they're beasts, man.
Have you considered case swapping this thing or what? I got an extra motor on the rack that could save you a couple of G's. You know, I'm just saying.
What?
Just saying.
What, is it the K2024?
No, I'm keeping that. You ain't getting that.
Oh, well.
In your dreams, buddy.
Yo, chill.
No, it's a stock K20Z3 from Sherry's old motor.
So is that like a SI motor or RSX Type S?
SI motor, yeah. It's
Yeah.
a 2 liter. So yeah, I'm just putting it out there if you want to save some money and want to bridge that Nissan and Honda journey of yours together. You know, people are throwing Ks and everything nowadays. You know,
Yeah.
Ferraris, Porsches,
There you go.
all that.
Yeah, my buddy Jay was keep asking me, yo, you want a K series that? I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm like, do I want to make something crazy or do I want to keep it like a all Nissan car for the Nissan lovers? I honestly don't know yet. Still debating.
Yeah. Right. So suspension, motor still needs to be sorted out. Once motor and transmission is in, then is the paint job, would that be the last?
Yeah, I think the paint job would be last. That way I don't scratch it. So if I did the exterior, I'm still working around it. Got parts laying around. I have a chance of scratching it. So exterior would be last, man.
Where are you planning on painting the car?
I'm gonna go with the Toyota Super White, same color as my engine bay.
Yeah.
Solid white, no pearls, no nothing. Just simple.
And do you have like a rough timeline for what you're aiming to get all this done by?
Every time somebody asks me this question, I tell them next year. So I'm gonna tell you, I'm hoping this car is done next year. With the SR is less money involved, so I have a better chance of getting it ready by next year. Yeah.
So we'll have you back on the podcast every year, and we'll get updates to see
Yeah.
how far we've gone along. But whenever you finish the paint job, well, we'll PPF the whole car for you on the house. How about that?
Yeah, eh?
Yeah.
Yes.
Entire exterior PPF.
You know, fly the crew down here, enjoy Calgary, and PPF my car.
Yeah. So we met up with Jason today. Jason Huang, J-Tuned, and they're saying how they're hosting the last IllMotion meet next year. So I definitely want to make a trip up here next year with our cars.
Yeah.
So hopefully ship them up here. Come out for the meet all the OGs from the Calgary scene. Drive the mountains, enjoy the cars, create some content. Probably drive over to BC too. I think that's what that'd be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
Maybe hit up some tracks,
Yeah.
and you know that would be a cool trip planned for next year.
Definitely.
You know, we spoke a little bit about, you know, what kind of interests you. You know, you started off body shop, you know, moving on to welding, and, you know, something that you said comes easily to you and something that you enjoy in terms of fabrication and sculpting, carbon fiber work, you know, like do you want to talk about what kind of interests you from that whole world?
Yeah, carbon fiber, it looks really nice, but it has a lot of benefits when you're making race car things. I feel like carbon fiber is an art, right? Definitely an art. Like trying to do what you need to do to perfect it, not just look but functions too. And I feel like that's some that I can work on throughout the rest of my life, on a side hobby, I guess. I definitely want to get into that. Been watching a lot of videos and reading a lot of stuff on it for years now. I will want to start making cool shit. That's for sure.
Is there any carbon that's going on this car?
As of right now, no.
Mm-hmm.
But as times go by, I might make a thing here or there, or I might buy some carbon fiber parts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it all depends what I want and what I need.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can definitely see you making some carbon fiber parts for this car. That would be sick.
Yeah.
If you get your feet wet in that craft of carbon fiber manufacturing, like I don't know much about carbon fiber. It's definitely something that I do want to learn a lot more, because it's so important with automotive, and you know just the technology behind carbon has come a long way. So just seeing the skill set that you've kind of built, and your mindset around sculpting, around developing your craft, problem solving, working with your hands, I think this is just the natural progression, and I think you'd be fucking amazing if you got into that field. So yeah, excited to see this build, progress. We've definitely really enjoyed seeing the journey, because you've kind of shared a bit of it through your YouTube channel, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How was that kind of starting with starting your own channel, and you know editing your own videos and stuff like that?
Editing videos is a fucking shit show. Right? I gotta set up the camera, record what I'm doing, make sure I capture it. But to be honest, I don't put much effort into recording all that. That's not my interest.
Mm-hmm.
But I do enjoy sharing. Like I love to teach, right? Like someone out there taught me stuff. I'm not afraid to pass on that knowledge, whether it's the best or not the best. It's just what I know. And in the car community, since time, there's so many forums of guys sharing other guys the knowledge. Hey, you want to do this? This is how I did it. You do your research, you put it all together, and you go with the best outcome. What makes sense to you, right? And the car community is so awesome for that, right? There's no boundary to what you can share when it comes to cars. Like some guy figured it out. He's like, "Yo, this is how I did it. This is you want to do it. This just follow the steps, right?" I love sharing, like even at work, like welding. I show guys how I did it my way, and it's up to them if they think that's the best route to take or not, right? And if they did take that route and it made them a better welder, I'm so happy for that, right? Like teachers, they want the students to become better, right? To know how to do it right. There's nothing wrong about teaching the correct way to do things. My content wise, like I don't know, it's whatever, right? Sometimes I just want to show off my work. I'll record that, and yeah, this is what it looked like before and after. And some stuff I was like, okay, this is how I did it. I'll share my knowledge and my experience, and hopefully somebody watch that and learn something from it, and
Yep.
it will allow them have the confidence from watching my videos to tackle that project themselves, right? Not necessarily all Nissan. Some guys are doing things on other cars like Audi, Honda, whatever. But if they can get a little knowledge from that and build the confidence to do it for their car, like I'm happy, and they're happy to do it himself, right? Nothing more satisfying than doing it yourself and having the result that you wanted. And you started from not knowing how to do it, and you finish with the product that you experienced and done it for the first time, and you're happy with it.
Yeah, that's 100%, man. And if you guys don't know, his YouTube is WeldingOCD, by the way. Just putting it out there. And yeah, man, I mean, you're a one-man show. It's understandable that, you know, you got a lot to deal with in terms of getting the shots, working on the actual car, showing what you need to show, and putting the time in to edit these videos. So, I mean, big shout out to you. Big shout out to all the content creators out there that are passing knowledge on and sharing with the community, because this is how the community gets better, right? So you should be definitely proud of yourself for doing that, man.
Yeah, working a 9 to 5, you know, like kicking ass on Call of Duty after hours too, and putting together those videos. Like you haven't put out a lot of videos, but like they've been so valuable in terms of the information and the knowledge. Yeah, you should definitely keep doing that. Hopefully we can help you in any way. You know, Allan can kind of share his kind of workflow and his process in terms of making your life easier and keeping things real simple. Yeah. And that's I think with your channel, keeping it super simple, because what you're doing on the car is already like amazing. Mm-hmm. So let the work speak for itself, and I think it's already done that.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, we're gonna wrap things up. If people want to find out more about you on YouTube, it's WeldingOCD. On Instagram, same thing, right?
Yep.
WeldingOCD. This was a lot of fun. You know, some beef jerky, soju, talking cars. This is what we love doing, and I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. And if you ever think about restoring a car to this level, don't do it. All right.
How bad do you want it?
Yeah, that's it. You gotta ask yourself that question. All right.
All right, guys. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next one.